Continue our driver media availabilities for the Axalta We Paint Winners 400. We're joined now by the driver of the number 88 Axalta Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale, your sponsor and the race entitlement sponsor now for the second year in a row, celebrating their 150th anniversary. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you took all my bullet points. Yeah, they're celebrating the 150th anniversary, so they're bringing a lot of employees to the race this weekend. Obviously, they're the sponsor for the event, and they've been a big part of Hendrick Motorsports for so many years, working with Jeff and now this year with our cars. So we'd love to take them to Victory Lane. It'd be great for them, great for our team as well with the position we're in. I feel like that the summer is going to be a great opportunity for us to start to get some direction and regain some of our performance. And maybe it starts this weekend. This is a track that I really enjoy racing at and have had some good success here, especially of late. So seemed to be a track we've been pretty consistent each time we show up. And the car felt pretty good in the first practice, even though we only got a few laps there. But it was pretty much in the ballpark as far as the balance goes. Hopefully get some good practice tomorrow so we can see what the rest of the field's got and kind of understand exactly where we are in comparison to everyone else and go from there.
We'll take questions now. We'll start right back here with Zach.
Zach Catan's ready front stretch. It was Jimmy Mean's birthday this past weekend. So how much did he mean to your childhood, and how did he kind of shape you as you started racing yourself with his struggles?
Yeah, I went to North Wilkesboro on a Friday or Saturday with my dad. This is probably 1985, and Jimmy, they didn't have pit garage, so everybody was parked on pit road, and Jimmy was beside Dad, and Dad introduced me to Jimmy. I was very little, but I didn't know, there wasn't a it didn't, you didn't know who was, it wasn't like, you pulled for, I wasn't an underdog kind of guy, but it just so happened that Jimmy was parked there, and I was really kind of new to the sport. I'd been coming to races as a kid, but I was starting to get to the age to where I was starting to understand who the drivers were, but it just was circumstances that Jimmy was parked next to Dad, and Dad was very conversational with Jimmy, and I thought, Dad, he must have been a good guy if Dad was so laid back with him. And I got introduced shortly thereafter to Brad, Jimmy's son, and me and Brad became best friends. Every time I went to the racetrack, I looked for Brad. Every time Brad went to the racetrack, he looked for me, and we'd spend the entire day at the track running around together, just trying to get into trouble. And there was a couple other guys that ran in that circle: Doug Williams' son, Scotty, Mike Wickham, Bob Wickham's son, and a few others. But me and Brad, we still talk today. Brad's a fabricator at Gibbs, and still one of my best friends. He comes over at least once a week, and we stay pretty current on what's going on in each other's lives, and that keeps me in contact with Jimmy even to this day. So one of the biggest honors I ever had was when Jimmy wrecked his car at Daytona during Speed Weeks, was loaning him one of our cars out of our haulers. We had four teams there with 4 backup cars sitting in all those trailers. So to be able to give him a car to be able to compete that week was probably one of my proudest moments. So I think a lot of Jimmy, and there's a lot of guys like Jimmy in the history of the sport, but he's been a fun guy to know. And when you watch him do what he does with all the stuff he has or the limited budget he has, it definitely keeps things into perspective and makes you appreciate how fortunate you are to have the resources we have and have all the access to great equipment and great people. So certainly has helped keep me, I think, a little more grounded.
We'll go to the left of Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network and Kicking the Tires. Dale, you talked about this a little earlier in the week, but would you mind sharing your thoughts a little bit on the situation with Kerry and Teresa? Elaborate on that a little bit for us.
I think I said what I needed to say last week. I don't need to elaborate any more on it. I thought I was pretty clear.
Okay, we'll go on the right side over here to Jeff, please, and then to Lee, and then Claire.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I noticed at Charlotte there was a section on the red carpet to the drivers' meeting with kids only, getting autographs, and I understand that was maybe an initiative from the Drivers' Council.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys have anything to do with that, and how does that fit into the greater conversation about, getting the next generation of fans to the track?
Yes, I think that wasn't like, hey, that wasn't an idea solely that came from you got to give the tracks and some other people from NASCAR involved in some of the credit for putting that together. But that to us is a lot more enjoyable than, if you know what the walk is at Indy, where there's people on both sides sort of hollering at you, and you're doing one side, and the other side is just getting more and more pissed off, and you can't get everybody. And we feel as drivers that even though we sign as many as we can, a lot of people leave very disappointed in the experience. And so we felt, but I have felt like that the having the kids there and taking care of them has changed that experience for the better in some ways. And but I can't say that was the driver council's idea solely. That was we've just talked to them about how we feel like that it sets the fan up for disappointment when we're all kind of walking down this long line. Vegas is another place. We stop and sign as many as we can, but we feel like we only make a small dent, and everybody else leaves upset that they were missed or cross, walk past or what have you.
We'll go to Lee and then Claire.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. 2 quick questions. Do you have plans for Cole Custer for next year yet? Has anything been locked down there?
We don't have anything in writing for a lot of stuff next year. That's the environment, though, of the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. All your deals are 1 year to the next. You might get a 2-year contract every once in a while. 3-year deals, like the coolest thing in the world. But we would love to keep working with him, and I believe he has a good amount of talent. And he showed some great potential in the Xfinity race for us at Charlotte. So it really comes down to whether they want Cole to race at Junior Motorsports or if they want to develop an Xfinity program of their own. I mean, it really just comes down to that.
And secondly, New Hampshire tire test. Did you do anything as far as working with the configuration of the car in addition to, finding a control tire? And what did you think of the tire compounds that were selected?
They brought a tire. When we got there, they had a tire that they really wanted to work. So they showed up with a tire that they wanted to race. We had the control set and a couple some lefts and rights that they just needed laps on just to get some information. The tire that they want to race is the tire we're going to race, and I liked it the most. It's softer. It's a little bit quick taking off, but it falls off more. And I think it'll give you a better chance on restarts to do some passing. A lot of guys will stay out on 20, 25, 30, 40 lap tires sometimes just to get some track position. With a softer tire, the car's going to take off right away. It'll have grip initially right at the restart, and you'll be able to really work pretty hard for about 3 or 4 corners with a bunch more grip, or a lot more grip than the guys out there on the older tire. And with the tires that we've had there in the past, man, they would shear and chatter, and they didn't come in right away. It took 2 or 3 corners, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 corners, and by the time they came in, you'd kind of lost the advantage of the new tire a little bit. And it also leveled off very early. It didn't fall off as much. So basically a 20-lap tire and a 40-lap tire would run the same speed. So you didn't have advantage even though you had 20-lap fresher tires. You ran the same speed as the next guy. Where I think the softer tire may trend to fall off a little more and continue to fall off throughout the run. So I was pretty happy. It's just a small step in a good direction. I think going forward, the tire will continue to improve.
Did you do anything with aero at all with the cars? Or?
No, we spent most of the test working with Goodyear to get the laps they wanted on all these tires. We ran the Phoenix left side many laps, and we ran a lot of different right side compounds, getting 30, 40 lap runs on it to get the information they needed for those particular tires for whatever reason. Yeah.
We'll go to Claire, then Chris.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. It's been a couple of weeks since the Houston "we have a problem" comment that you had, and your team seems to have great communication. They feel like you guys since then and beyond have been sharing information and whatnot. Are you gaining, you think, on Joe Gibbs Racing? Do you feel like you've made, some gains since you said that, I think 3 weeks ago or so?
Yeah, that's not a lot of time in this sport.
Yeah.
3 weeks is such a small window. I wish I could answer that question for you maybe after the second Pocono or a couple more weeks, but Jimmy obviously ran great in the 600, which I think is a great sign. We had pretty good speed early in that race, but we struggled the rest of it. But and we ran okay in the All-Star race. I think that me and Greg we're communicating as well as we can, and I'm happy with our relationship and our communication. It really is, and it's not just. It takes effort on my part too, man. I told him during the 600 race weekend that I see some areas where I can be more accountable and more available. So we're working really hard. I know that's sort of the company line every week, but the guys are grinding and trying to find everything they can to get us a little more speed. This is going to be a great opportunity this weekend. Hopefully, we'll get some time on the track, and this is a place where we can learn and prepare for Indy and other tracks. And then you're going to go to Michigan, and that's going to give us a great idea of how we're doing. And I like the way we tested at New Hampshire. The 11 car was there, and I know everybody's on different tires, and everybody's got a different agenda and working on different things for Goodyear, but I felt like we had the same speed, if not a little more than we had last year. We always kind of ran good at New Hampshire, and I've always liked that track. So I didn't think we were off or missing anything at the test. So felt pretty good about how competitive the car felt.
We'll go right here in the middle to Chris.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Dale, what's your thoughts on the Xfinity Series racing at Pocono this weekend? All 3 JRM cars were incredibly fast yesterday, all in the top 11 in both practice sessions.
Thanks, man. Well, I think our Xfinity program at Junior Motorsports has had a great year. We got some good things going, some confidence, and I think they'll just continue to get better. We got our young group of crew chiefs that are all working really tight together, and this is a fun racetrack, and this is Brandon and his guys are racers, and they put a lot into this place. This is all you would think that he's here every single day, and this is all he does is how can I make racing and the experience for the fans better at this racetrack. He's always upgrading, and it seems like whatever they get out of this place, they put it right back in. And he's a fun guy to want to work with and help. So they've always treated me very well, and it makes you want to do whatever you can to help them. So I'm glad that the Xfinity Series is here, and hopefully this is a home for them for many, many years. It's a unique track and presents some fun challenges, and I think it's fun for the fans, and hopefully I think they'll put on a good race.
During the test at New Hampshire this week, you tweeted a Amongus JBL speaker in the car. What were you listening to, and did you have it on when you were on the track? And could you hear it?
I just never turn it off, but you can't hear it while you're out there running. But when there's some long changes and you just don't feel like getting out of the car, it's in there playing. And I think the guys like it because they can hear it while they're working on the car. But I had it on 90s alternative Pandora.
We'll stay right here in the middle front.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Dale, you talked a little earlier about trying to regain that the performance. What has maybe been some of the reasons why you've lost that performance, and now with halfway to the chase cutoff, you're starting to feel a little pressure, a little anxiety to get that win to lock into the chase?
No, I'm not worried about I'm not feeling any anxiety. At 41 years old, you kind of get over that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to worry about it. I spent all the first 18 years worrying myself to death. I think that we're a good enough team to make it, whether we get a win or not. We're a good enough team, So that's not a guarantee. I just feel confident that we'll get in. But a win would be what we expect. Not just to lock ourselves in the chase. We just expect to win. We got a couple of years now of multiple win seasons, and we expect to go and win races. So it's been the plate racing that this year's been frustrating. We've got some understanding and ideas on why things have gone the way they went in several situations, and you learn from your mistakes and move forward. But I've been I been racing in this series a long time, and there's been years where I've been asked that question dozens and dozens of times, like where do you need to improve, no matter what team I was racing for, no matter what year it was. And even if you knew, you wouldn't tell. I mean, you can't say, well, them guys in the body shop, they need to get going. You're not going to throw anybody under the bus, but the majority of the time you don't know. The majority of the time there's no way to really put your finger on the exact area where they're getting beat. You look at a car in the garage area, you look across at the guy that's really running well, his car doesn't look, nothing stands out. It's not, you're looking at everything they're doing, and you watch a guy real close all weekend, make changes, and go through the process of the whole weekend, and nothing really stands out. Their body doesn't look better than my body. Their motor can't be better than my motor. So it's just a combination of dozens of things, doing everything right, preparing and working hard, and somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. So, you're not always going to be the fastest guy. And so you just keep coming up to the racetrack and showing up and trying to find that advantage that no one else has. And I don't doubt that Hendrick will be as strong as they want to be at some point in this season. And it'll typically, I feel pretty confident that we'll be fine in the chase. And I look at the year that Brad Keselowski won the championship. Hendrick cars were really good all year long. Brad and his team worked all year to try to find what advantage we had and how, and they found it, and they took that idea in-house and made it their own and made it better. And then they went into the chase and were very strong. And when Tony Stewart won the championship, struggled all year, found ideas that other teams were using and doing, took it in-house, made it their own, made the plan, took that plan and made it even better, and won the championship. Last year, halfway through the season, the Gibbs guys were frustrated, wondering how to get better, looking for speed. They saw some things that they could improve and saw some things in other teams, took it home, made it better, and came out in the chase and won the championship. So, I can see that. I can see us sort of in that situation where we're looking across the garage, and every team has enough smart people on it. If they find that, if they figure out how somebody's making their mousetrap so well, they'll take it home and do it and make it even better. They'll take those ideas that are great and improve on them, and then bring it to the track and outrun that guy. And that's just the nature of the sport. And so I'm not too worried about where we are right now. I mean, we're not running bad. We just haven't had to, we took off at the start of the year, had some second-place finishes, thought we were right on the verge of winning, and we struggled this month. It's been a rough month. But I think that's great. I think we can turn it around here. I think we should run great here. And I'm not so much worried about exact end of the race results. I'm more concerned with just consistent speed in the car and trying running up front throughout the day and having consistency on pit road and in the race car in the laps. So I think we can do that this weekend going forward.
We'll take our final question from the Charlotte Observer.
Hey, Dale, Joe Person. You had mentioned, of course, you're not going to throw anybody under the bus, but earlier you'd said that there are a couple areas where you thought you could be more accountable, and I didn't know if you might expand on that specifically.
Just, I think that I could call Greg, reach out to Greg, be more available and more conversational with him about what we're doing, preparing, specifically with the setup and understanding. We're trying some things. We ran some stuff in our setup for the All-Star race and for the 600 that we'd never ran before. And when things are going good, you might not plug in all the way and want to know everything your crew chief's doing. You just, he's going to tell you what he thinks you need to know. You're going to get to the racetrack. I get to the racetrack early enough, and I sit in the hauler for 30 minutes to an hour before practice. Maybe we don't talk a lot. Maybe we talk a lot. But that's what I've done consistently over the years. And he tells me whatever he thinks I need to know, and I go out there and drive the car and tell him how it drives. But I can always ramp that up. I can always want to know everything and want to know every little detail and understand why we're moving every little part and why we're changing every little, every spring or shock and why we're running this different sway bar. So, I can really bug him to death and pick his brain and try to be as knowledgeable about the car as he is, so that while we're out there on the racetrack and I'm driving it and I'm feeling something, I can kind of think to the setup and go give him some direction on the setup and aside from his own ideas and plans that he's had over the week. So just I'm there, and I haven't really dialed back anything that I've been doing over the last several years, but I can always be more conversational and just hang out over his shoulder and just, you never know when something might, some idea might come out of that works, and some conversation or something one of us might say that spurs some speed into the car. So we'll just, we'll just continue to communicate as much as we can till we start to see see the speed coming in the car. And I'm pretty I'm not too worried about it, to be honest with you, but I don't want to feel like that he isn't, I'm not accountable, not available. And I'm there, but I want him to know that I'm plugged in. Let's whatever you need from me, tell me what you need from me.
Dale, good luck this weekend.
All right.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
in.
guys.